we have none other than Amita Jena, who is the multiple district GLT coordinator. To start with today's program, today's first topic will be communication and interaction. Over to Amita. Amita ji.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank Mandira ji and Lion Hemabrata ji for inviting me to come and meet you all and talk to you again about something. Anyway, presiding officer, district governor Rengania ji, vice governors, all Lion district leaders, and my dear young upcoming leaders, the YLLI faculties. A very good evening to all of you. Friends, today's first session is, as you all know, communication and interaction. All this while, in the last 10 minutes, friends, what we have been doing is nothing but communicating. Lion Mandira ji did communicate something. Our district governor, Rengania ji, did tell you something. Rathod ji said something. Lion Sen said something. So this is all nothing but communication, right? So friends, today we are going to learn nothing but everything what you all or we all know. But all I will do today is we will learn some little techniques or skills to improve ourselves, to learn how to communicate in a more skilled manner. Okay. So friends, like I would say, nobody is born a leader, nor is anybody born a good speaker. But all of us can become a good speaker. All we require is little practice. And if we practice, each one of us can become a good communicator, even a good leader. So like this communication skills, we need some skills to become a good communicator. We need some skills to become a good leader. So these communication skills and leadership skills, they are both correlated. Like if you become a good communicator, you can very easily become a good leader. But yes, not necessary that a good leader is always a good communicator. Friends, sometimes we think that a person who is very fluent in English and speaks very good big words, jargons, then we all think that he or she is a very good communicator. But do you think that is true? No, that is not true. Not necessary. If you are very fluent in English, you are a good communicator or a good speaker. Because English is only a language, but communication is an art. Communication is an art that has to be learned. It has to be developed. Just like our muscles, how do we develop our muscles? By exercising and working it out. Similarly, friends, if you want this art, art of communication, you will have to learn it. You will have to develop it. Then you can become a very good communicator. I am reminded of a very good quote. I don't remember the person, but then this quote is very apt. Like it says, communication works for those who work at it. Getting my point? Communication works for those who work at it. When you work, when you learn or you work for your communication, then your communication becomes strong. Okay? And then I would like to introduce you with a law. That is the law of paying the price. What? The law of paying the price. Friends, whenever you want something, you have to pay the price for it, right? Whenever you go to the market and you buy a pair of shoes, you pay for it. When you go and buy a suit, you pay for it. When you go and buy a TV, you pay for it, right? Wherever you go, you have to pay for it. But again, the amount may vary depending upon your quality, depending upon the brand. But what is important is whenever you buy something, you pay the price, right? Similarly, friends, for this communication also, you have to pay the price for it. And what is the price? The price is nothing but develop, practice. I'm reminded of a very nice incident which I would like to quote here. Like I was in Delhi, I was in the gym once. Then after some time, I find a very tall, hefty man walking in. He must be around 95 to 100 kgs. A very stout, fat man. Maybe he was son of a very big businessman or something. मतलब he was looking like a, बड़े बाप के बिगड़े बेटे जैसे. He had come with two bodyguards behind him, and then there was a man carrying his towel. There was a man carrying water for him. There was another man, holding his energy drink for him. There were a lot of people around, but he had to do the push-ups himself, right? Nobody can do the push-up for him. And only when he does the push-up for himself can he lose his weight. So friends, here I would like to say, you will have to learn to do your push-up yourself. Then only you will succeed. So like I said, to develop your communication, you will have to develop it. You have to learn it and develop it yourself. And for a good communicator to learn the knack and the trick of it, you need to have a good role model for yourself. Your role model can be a politician, can be a news reporter, can be a, what do you say? You can say a journalist, or you can pick up. There are a lot of good communicators in our organization. Think of our PID, AP Singh ji. Think of PID Sunil Kumar ji. Think of PID Sangeeta Jethia ji. They are all very good communicators. So you should always have a role model in your mind, and then you learn the knack or trick from them. You will have to learn the art and develop it out. Without this effort, friend, you cannot bring any change. So all I have to do is practice, practice, practice. And the more you practice, the more you become a good communicator. And when you are a good communicator, always remember you can lead well, you can convince people well, you can argue, you can suggest, you can do all these things if your communication skill is strong. And of course, when your communication skill is strong, you can even lead well. So you can become a good leader too, right? Friends, let me share the screen. Can I, Mandiga ji, can I share the screen myself?
The host is going to make you a co-host so that you
Yeah.
can share.
Yeah, ma'am, you can share. You are already co-host.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so as I said, when you become a good communicator, automatically when you do all these things, you become a good leader. So this great person, Simon Simon Sinek, very rightly he said, great leaders communicate and great communicators lead, right? Okay. Now, friends, we should know what is communication. Communication is nothing but it's the process of exchange of informations, your ideas, your thoughts, maybe your feelings or your emotions through your speech or through writing or maybe through sign language signals or your behavior. So this is communication. And as we all know, communication is of two types, verbal and non-verbal. Verbal communications are what? Those which use, that is your oral communication or your written communication. But non-verbal communications are what? They are those when you transmit messages through your eyes, your voice, your body language. All these are your non-verbal communication. Friends, I'm reminded of this. He is a great management consultant by name Peter Drucker. He has very rightly said that the most important thing in communicating is to hear what isn't being said. Right? To hear what isn't being said. अभी जब हम बात करते हैं हम क्या करते हैं, हम सुनते हैं ना. But then he very rightly said that it is important to hear that which isn't being said. Now, what isn't being said is none but other our non-verbal communication. You can see here in this picture, friends, it is showing that when we are speaking, when you are communicating, only 7% is heard by people. That is, people grasp only the 7% of the words you say. But the rest 93% is your non-verbal communication. That means the communication which you're doing through your eyes, through your voice, or through your body language. That is your movement of your arms, your legs, or your face and your body. So friends, here you see how important the non-verbal communication is to our verbal communication. In fact, non-verbal communication is n times more than our verbal communication, right? So, sorry. So let us see some few non-verbal communication. Here, friends, in this picture you see, when you're shaking hand with a person, it is a non-verbal communication. You are not saying anything, but the other person is learning so many things by the simple handshake which you're making with him or her. Because if it is a firm handshake, if you're shaking hand with him and it's a firm handshake, it shows your confidence level. It shows your strength, your integrity. And if it is a weak handshake, it shows how less confident you are. Or maybe it shows that you're afraid of conversing with that female or the male. So it's a simple handshake without uttering a word. You are communicating or you are giving signals of all this. Similarly, when you put a finger on your lips, it is a non-verbal communication. You do not have to say anything, but you are telling a very big sentence, asking them all to keep quiet. So without speaking a word, just a finger on your lips says so many things about it. Similarly, when you're appreciating something, you are expressing, you are saying what you mean and you mean what you say. Right? And yes, the last picture you see here, when there is any language problem, language barrier between two persons, then there also they can communicate with each other through this non-verbal communication, or you can say through your sign language. Or if it is interculture problem, there also when you cannot understand each other's culture, there your body language or your non-verbal communication helps you. So now let us look into the few most important non-verbal communication. And the first thing we would look into is the eyes. Hannah, the eyes, you all will agree with me, is the most important way of expression or communicating. And of course, I will just read. Nazar झुकी तो हया बन गई, नजर तिरछी हुई तो अदा बन गई, नजर बंद हुई तो कजा बन गई. तो बात नजरों की है, वरना बात कुछ भी नहीं है ना? So friends, eyes are so important. As rightly said, eyes are the window to the soul. आंखों से तो बहुत बातें हम कर सकते हैं. If you look deep into a person's eye, then you can definitely tell many things about him or her, whether she's happy, whether she's sad, whether she's angry, whether she's in love, anything or everything, because eyes are so expressive that you can easily communicate your thoughts, your feelings, everything through your eyes. Now see this picture. If you look very deeply into this picture, I'm sure you can, है ना, ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे ये दोनों आंखें बात कर रहे हैं, and वो तो सबके साथ होता है. Friends, like when we say about eyes, the most important thing is, as a speaker, when you are speaking or communicating to few people, what is very important is your eye contact with the person. When you're talking with somebody, when you're discussing with a group, eye contact is very, very important, because when you contact your eyes with the other person, you are engaging him or her with your conversation. When you're talking to your audience also, when you can make direct eye contact with them, then you can engage those people, the audience, and you can make them feel like you are conversing with them. And when your eye contact is strong, remember very well, you can establish a very good rapport with them. You can strengthen the listener's involvement with you. But now you may ask me, if we were only 2 or 3 people, yes, you can make eye contact with each one of them. But if you are communicating to a big group of maybe 40, 50, 60, then how do you make eye contact with one and all, right? Yes, friends, that is definitely a question, but then yes, there is a solution to it. What you do when you're speaking to an audience, whenever you're speaking, you must focus to maybe the left first. Not to left means not to one person, but then focus to a group on your left. Then slowly divert your attention, your eye contact onto the right, to the people on the right. Then slowly move your contact to the people, sitting right in the front 2 rows. And then slowly you go back to look at the people who are at the end. So this is how you move your eye contact from maybe to the left, to the right, then to the front, and then to the back, and then reverse it like that. In the process, what happens? Everybody, all the audience will feel that yes, you are looking to them and you're talking to them. So they will remain engaged with your conversation, with your communication. But yes, one thing you should always remember, whenever you're communicating, we generally forget, or the 2 ends are always neglected. That is your right hand and the left hand. So ensure that you pay attention to the 2 corners of the people sitting in the 2 corners of the auditorium. Otherwise, if you do not pay attention to them or make eye contact with them, they will start feeling neglected and they will get disinterested in your conversation or with your speech, and they will start distracting you. So this is how you develop eye contact and keep everybody within your arena and keep everybody holding on to your speech. And friends, another thing one should remember, whenever you're talking to a person one-to-one, always ensure to sit straight with both your legs on the floor. You should not be sitting with one leg on top of the other. That is again a no-no. Sit with your backbone straight. Don't slouch onto the table. That is again not the right posture when you're communicating. And whenever you're talking to a person, try to have direct eye contact. Do not look to the wall. If you look onto the wall, it says that you've forgotten something. If you look down below, it says that you are shy. If you look away from the person, it will make him feel that you are avoiding him. So these are the few tips or the skills you should remember for eye contact. Now our next important skill is our voice. Friends, it's not what you say that is important, but the way you say it, that is important. Because when you say, your voice, your tone, your volume, all that matters. So voice is again a very important skill during conversation. And whenever you are talking, whenever you move from one tone away from one situation to another, obviously the module of your voice, your volume, your tone will definitely differ. Now, for example, if you are going as a moderator or motivator to a place, so obviously when you're going as a motivator, you are to be inspiring people. So there you have to be firm, excited, and have to have a fast pace when you're going as a motivator. But yes, if you're going to a place as an educator to educate people or to inform others, there you have to be very stable and sturdy. But if you're going as a coach, when you're going to a place as a coach, there you have to be directive or assertive. There you have to show that you're very confident, and as you have to show your forceful personality. And of course, if you are with your colleagues, with your friends, then you can be very informal, and like you can be harsh, you can be laughing, you can be anything. You can be your own self, very informal. So everywhere, where you're going as a motivator, where you're going as a coach, where you're going as an educator, everywhere your voice modulation, tone, pitch, you have to vary it as per the circumstances. Depending upon your role, you have to effortlessly, change the timbre of your voice by altering the pitch, the volume, the pace. Okay, like supposing when you're sad, obviously your tone will be low and it will be soft. But if you're angry, when you're angry, remember, friends, you don't have to shout, but you can raise the words, not your voice. You raise the words is when you want to emphasize, when you're angry, you want to emphasize on the few things which is wrong. You raise those words, but do not raise your voice. That's the wrong thing. So, friends, voice modulation is, different between a boring speech and a captivating speech. Is again your voice modulation. When you're very harsh, obviously people will get irritated. But when you're very soft, people will definitely love your speech. Similarly, when you talk of your tone, if your tone is harsh, nobody will like to listen to it. Again, your pitch, as I said, you will raise the words, but not your voice. And whenever you want to emphasize and in any point, like when you're angry, emphasize on the words which are wrong, not your voice. And of course, always have a pause when you're communicating. Give pause in between. When you're going from one point to the next, you always give a pause to it. Friends, our next important non-verbal communication skill is our body language. Body language, friends, as you saw, it constitutes 58% of our communication. And body language speaks the loudest whenever you are interacting with others. None of us knew this, that body language was so important when you're communicating, right? But yes, now when we come to know how important body language is, henceforth when you're communicating, you have to take care of it. because our body language, even when you're sitting quietly, when you have already finished with your conversation, your body language, your body is still continuously giving out and receiving signals. You know, they are wordless signals which your body is always giving out and receiving. So, friends, body language is very, very important. I can give you a few tips. That is, as I said, when you are sitting, in a position, as I said, your body should be erect, your legs should be on the floor, you should not be slouching on the table, and you should be having direct eye contact with the person whom you are speaking to. Supposing you are in an interview, always sit straight with your legs on the floor and have direct eye contact with your interviewer. Should not keep looking left and right. And whenever you're speaking, you can use your hands comfortably. Don't force your hand to be tied up and sitting quietly, and do not cross your hands and sit. That is again a no for a communication skill. And whenever you are, as I said, whenever you are gone as a communicator, to give a speech somewhere, when you're standing and giving your speech, friends, there again your body language counts a lot. Always you should stand with obviously both the legs straight, and your hands should be left free. Your hand should not be crossed. Your hand should not be inside your pocket. That is a very bad manners or bad etiquette of putting your hands inside your pocket and talking. We should never do that. And whenever we are giving a speech, friends, let us remember from today never to stand behind the podium and talk, right? Because just now we've been talking about body language, and we are saying our body language speaks the most. And here we are saying 58% of communication depends upon our body language, or we can say 93% depends upon our body language, non-verbal communication. So when we are standing behind a podium, what is happening? 2/3 of our body is covered, is behind the podium. So the audience is, they are only seeing 1/3 of our body. So what is happening? They are not able to, they are only hearing what we are saying, but they are not able to see or listen to our body language, which is behind the podium. So always try to come out of the podium and speak to the audience, so that they can see you from top to toe, and they can listen to you properly, they can communicate with you properly, verbally, non-verbally, mentally also. And they can, I will go ahead, when I talk about listening, I will tell you how important it is. But of course, if you have any resolution to be read out or any points to be read out, you can definitely refer to the podium and you can go and read out. But I would suggest, I would request that whenever you're talking, always come out of the podium and talk, so that the audience will see you from tip to toe and will be more conversant with you, with what you are saying. And another very important thing is, always remember that whatever you are saying, it should match with your verbal, should match with your non-verbal communication. Then only you will develop a trust on the listeners, and you can draw the people towards them. But if your verbal communication or your verbal word signals do not match with your body language or your non-verbal signals, then obviously people will develop a mistrust on you. In fact, you will be confusing them or maybe offending them. Okay, so what is very important is your body language. Even if when you stop talking, your body is still giving out communication. So we have to be very, very stringent with what we are doing, what we are saying, and how we are sitting, how we are doing things. Because every moment, our body is communicating, giving and receiving signals. So friends, let us now see few positive and negative. Let us see some few positive body languages and negative body language. I've already told you all these points, friends. Positive body languages are when you're shaking hand. If it is a firm handshake, then it speaks about your confidence. Then making direct eye contact is a positive body language. Sitting erect is a positive body language. Paying attention, sitting with both legs on the floor is again a positive body language. Relaxed position, keeping hands out of your pocket and smiling. All these are positive body language. And friends, you must always practice all these positive body languages. And try to keep yourself away from the negative body languages. And they are raised eyebrows, slouching in the seat, as I said, rubbing your nose when you're talking, when you're rubbing your nose, it's again negative body language, pressing your lips, showing that you are disagreeing to things, biting your fingernails is again a sign of nervousness. Then arms and legs crossed, I said, which is a negative body language, and a weak handshake. Weak handshake again is a negative body language. Friends, always let us look onto the left side, the positive body language, and let us practice all of them. Okay. Now, as I said, all this while we were talking about communication. That is how we will speak, or what will a communicator do. Now, the other end is what? The other end is a person who is listening to you, right? So it is not always that you will be a communicator. Sometimes somebody will be speaking and you will be listening. Like now, particularly in the virtual sessions, it is always, we are communicating. It is not interactive, not much of an interaction. So when I'm speaking now, you are listening. So when you speak, maybe we all will be listening. So a person who is listening again should have a lot of skills. Number one, he should be a very active listener. And how can you be an active listener is when you pay attention to the conversation and not interrupt, by paying attention to the conversation, not interrupting, and taking the time to understand what the speaker is communicating. That is very important for a listener. A listener has to be very patient. A listener has to stop talking. He has to concentrate. The listener has to, relax oneself and avoid him or her from any distraction. And he or she has to make the speaker at ease. How can you make a speaker at ease? Like of course, I'm not talking about virtual, but in person, whenever we're having discussion or meetings, whenever a person is speaking to you, you should try to understand and, nod once a while so that the speaker feels that, yes, you are understanding. But if you give a blank look, obviously he or she will feel that what he or she is saying is not understood by you. So if you have to be an active listener to make the other person feel comfortable. Now, yes, I understand. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to concentrate, to listen to a person because of lot of distractions from maybe the sides, from outside, or maybe your immediate neighbor, they may be cross-talking. So that time, friend, how will you concentrate or how you will listen actively? I will give you a tip here. What you generally can do, and it's a very good practice, what you can do is form a cocoon between yourself and the speaker. Form an imaginary wall between you and the speaker. And then, friends, just form that cocoon between you and him or her you will find that the other distraction will slowly get away, and you can actively concentrate on the speaker, and that will help you. And when you can become a very good listener, you can improve your productivity. When you become an active listener, it will improve your productivity as well as your ability to influence, to persuade, even negotiate. Because when you're active listener, you can do all this. And listening with all your skills, all your senses, will help you to fully understand what the other person, you can understand the other person, what he or she is saying, her emotions, her concern, her viewpoints. You can understand all this very accurately. And if there is any, it will remove any misunderstandings, if there is any misunderstandings also. So active listening is as important as communication, because communication is only communication, but the other person also needs to listen. Okay. Now let us go to the next one, that is interaction. Friends, what is interaction? Interaction is the emotional bridge between verbal and non-verbal gestures or messages. It is the verbal and non-verbal messages or gestures which we are giving out. Positive emotions will strengthen the bridge, and negative emotions will break the bridge. So when we are friends, when you're communicating with a person, within the very first 7 seconds, you can easily label whether the person is trustworthy, or if you have any suspicions. Like in our school days, friends, our teacher would say, when they were correcting the essays, they would say, by reading the introduction, we can understand what the body and the conclusion will be, and accordingly they would mark. Similarly here, friends, when you're communicating, interacting with a person, within the very first few seconds, you can judge that person, whether the person is trustworthy or not. Okay. And now, friends, as I said, interaction is nothing but it's the interaction between the verbal and the non-verbal gestures. So these verbal and non-verbal gestures are of 4 types. The verbal and non-verbal, when they complement each other, that is, for example, here, first picture here you're seeing, when you slow down your voice, you lower down your voice and you say, Mama, I'm not feeling well. So when you're saying, Mama, I'm not feeling well, obviously you will lower your voice. So your matches with what you are saying. You're lowering down your voice and saying, Mama, I'm not feeling well. So your verbal and non-verbal gestures are matching. So they are complementing each other. But supposing your friend asks you, how are you? You will say, I'm great, I'm feeling great. But then there will be tears in your eyes. Now, what is that? That is your verbal gestures, verbal words are contradicting to your non-verbal gestures, right? You are saying you are happy, but there are tears in your eyes. So it is contradictory. Then again, your verbal messages can substitute your non-verbal message, like putting a finger on your lip. What you're saying, you're not saying anything, you're just saying, please keep quiet. So instead of saying this full line, please keep quiet, you're putting your finger on your lips. This is the non-verbal message which you are communicating. Similarly, the picture here you see, this sign, it says that you can stop the game now. So instead of shouting and saying stop the game, this symbol or this non-verbal sign is indicating or saying loudly that we need to stop the game. And then another one is emphasizing. Supposing you go to a public toilet, you find it very filthy and stinky. So what you do? You close your nose. So here you are emphasizing that the place is dirty or stinky. That is why you emphasizing that it is a dirty place, how it is stinking. Okay. So these are the few things about communication. You have to remember the communication skill and the active listening skills, and of course, interaction. Here, friends, you can see the two great leaders, how they are sending non-verbal messages, our great Narendra Modi and Barack Obama, right? So friends, this is all about communication. If we have any questions, or else I would like to, can I take another 5 minutes, Mandira ji? Then I want to do a quick activity.
Go ahead, Amita.
Okay, so friends, now let us do a small activity. Let me stop sharing this. Okay, participants, let us do a small activity now. I will read out a story. I will read out a story to you, and then maybe I will ask you just one or two questions, and the answer you have to put it in the chat box. Okay?
Chat box को.
Okay.
Sure.
So please listen attentively. I will be reading the story just once. Okay? Friends, it is like this. A train leaves Howrah station. A train leaves Howrah station with 3 passengers and stops at Santragachi, and 5 more get onto the train. At Howrah station, 3 passengers. At Santragachi, 5 more get into. The next stop is at Kharagpur, where 23 passengers get on. Next stop is Jaleshwar, where 2 passengers get off board. The train makes its next stop at Baleswar, where 21 get off and no one gets on. The train next pulls along until it reaches Bhadrak, where 3 more passengers get on. The next stop is at Jajpur Road, where 6 get on and 4 get off. Next stop is Cuttack, where 24 passengers get on. Then the train moves on to Mancheshwar, where no passengers get on or get off. Finally, the train reaches the end of the route, that is Bhubaneswar, where all the passengers get down. Okay, friends? Now my question to you is, how many stops did the train make? Answers, please, on the chat box. How many stops did the train make? 6. Sanjeev, okay. Duryajit, 8. Okay. Madhavi, 9. Okay. One sec. Wonderful. Okay, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. I'm so happy. Wonderful. Nandini, wonderful. Sachendra, wonderful. From Dilip Sharaf, very good. Wonderful. So I'm happy that I have accomplished my task. So all my participants are really very active listeners. The answer is 9. And I'm so happy most of them have the answers correct. Wonderful. I'm so happy, Mandiraji. I'm really very happy. Okay, my next question is, how many at the final destination, how many passengers got down? Fatafat, answer kijiye. How many passengers were left when the train came to Bhubaneswar? $79. Oh my God. Okay. 26. Okay. All. 24. I think all. What is this all? All. I want a figure. I want a figure. 2, 4, 8, 10, 18, 20. Wonderful. See. Now this is the beauty. I must appreciate they all are good listeners. They were listening, but they are so smart that they had assumed, they had a pre-assumption in their mind that I will be asking how stations. So yes, I think yeah, wonderful. I think Palash is right. Lion Palashi, then I think 2, 3 are right. Rupa ji is right. 37 is the right figure. 37 passengers were left who got down at Bhubaneswar. Yes, friends. So what I would like to tell here, you should always be an active listener. Have your mind always open to any conversation. Never have a pre-assumed picture in your mind that this is what you will. If you assume something and you keep listening, then friends, always the answer will be wrong or you will not be listening properly. So always have an open mind and not pre-assumption. So then only you can answer such beautifully and your communication will be correct and you will be so please go ahead, and all of you should become very good communicators. As I said, none of us are born leaders, none of us are born as good speakers, but the more we practice, we all, you, me, and everybody can become good communicators. None of us are experts. And as I said, have a role model for yourself, and you can definitely become good communicators. Thank you, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you, ma'am.
Amita ji. Thank you very much for kindly coming to our program. And dear friends, we have Amita ji, our GLT resource person from our multiple district 322, a wonderful personality. I have had the good luck of learning from her in the RLLI session. And ma'am, thank you once again for communicating so easily what communicating is all about. And your last, the game, really proved to hear what's not being said. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Well,
I would now welcome our GLT coordinator, Lion Mandira Chandaji, to begin the next topic, that is time management. Lion Mandira Chandaji, over to you.
Happy করবো তো share. Just a minute. Yes. Yeah, I think sharing. Yeah, I think I can. Yeah. Okay, can you all see the screen? Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you see? Can you read the topic?
Power of time management. 10
Yes,
time is
ma'am.
Power of time management, right? That is
Power
my
of
topic.
time management.
Yes. So today we had a little problem with time management, right? Because there was some technical issue, and so there was a little delay in starting. So no problem. So here we are, because in LCI we have always been giving importance to time management, and this topic has always occupied a very important place in all our training programs at various levels. So however, we do realize that time management can be one tough job, right? It is not very easy to keep time, but if you make it a habit, then it becomes you will always be on time. So our meetings most often don't begin in time. Even after it has begun, it seems like it will never end. It becomes long and tedious sometimes, isn't it? So time isn't the main thing. The experts say that time is the only thing. Time management is like life management. As Leo Tolstoy says in his famous novel, War and Peace, he says, the two most powerful warriors are patience and time. He means to say that knowing how best to spend your time allows you to optimize your productivity. Okay. And secondly, you must have patience. While filling your time correctly is great, at the same time, you should also remember that there is a time for everything. Okay. Sometimes it is best to wait until that opportunity comes around and then strike when the iron is hot. The key is not spending time, but it is investing your time, right? So here in the second slide, you see, time is one thing in life that you can never get back. Okay, once it's gone forever. In today's fast-paced world, even though it seems like we are working 24/7, we sometimes do wonder if we are making the best use of time. Either run the day or the day runs out. We all have heard the saying, time and tide waits for none. So if you want to get things done, then ask yourself, if not now, then when? So lost time is never found again. And according to Steve Jobs, the most precious resource we have is time. It is true that time flies and we cannot hold it back. However, we must understand that we are the pilot. That means how we spend the time is entirely in our hands. It is not about better time management. It is about better self-management. Okay, next is importance of time management. Okay, first of all, time management helps you in greater productivity and efficiency. But productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, focused effort. And the success in time management always leaves an evidence of effort, follow through productivity, and achievement. And that is why effective management benefits by making you more productive and efficient. Secondly, being on time for any event is having a good professional reputation. So you will be known for being very punctual. We say we spend our time, how we spend our time defines who we are. Showing up on time for work each day indicates your dedication. While taking an extra time at lunch may suggest that your priorities are somewhere else. Okay. But this isn't about what others think. It is always about you, okay, what you want to become. By defining your goals and dividing your time accordingly, you will be able to unlock new potentials within yourself and for your workplace. That is why punctuality is the essential quality of a hardcore professional. So build up a good reputation and by always being punctual. Tough times never last, but tough people do. If you are tough, you're going to last forever with a good reputation. There is no person on the planet who has not experienced a life free from problem. We all have our own share of problems. The fact is, we all experience challenges, and when the going gets tough, you should remember that it is only the tough that gets going. Thirdly, think of the challenges that come your way as opportunities to grow, and soon you will see the other side. It doesn't make those difficult times less stressful, but it makes the struggle worth every second. Those difficult times less stressful, but makes the struggle worth. Make every second count. To be stressful, to be stress-free, utilize the time to your advantage. Make plans and stick to the plans and focus on getting the most out of the time that you have. And to be stressful, you can try to be early for an event rather than being late. Okay. Sometimes we say, if only there were 25 hours in a day instead of 24. Or we say that I wish there were 8 days in a week instead of 7 days. So does it happen to you sometimes? Do you say that? So if you say that, then you have a problem with time management. Okay. We should be able to optimize our time per day and make the most out of the precise time we have, while making time for relaxation also, which is necessary. By planning in advance, you will save a massive headache, okay, and not worry about keeping that deadline, okay. We also have, think of what tomorrow will bring. So that is also some worry that we have. What will happen tomorrow? This way you can have a stress-free life. Better 3 hours soon than 1 minute late. Have you missed a flight in your life? If you have missed a flight, then you know what I am talking about. Next is, where did I go? Wait, stickles. I think I moved forward. Distractions. Yes, focus and clarity. Okay. Ask yourself, what is the most important thing for me to do now at the present moment? And start doing that and leave the rest. Concentrate on your thoughts upon the work in hand. See, when the sun rays do not burn until it is brought to a focus. Have you ever tried burning a paper by using the sun's rays through a magnifying glass? When we were children, we used to, try out that experiment. And if you
Yes.
put, yes, that is very interesting. So when the sun's rays are focused through the magnifying glass, only then the paper will burn. Okay, that is how focusing also works. To do two things at a time, it is to do neither. That means you cannot focus on two things at one time. You need to be clear about the need to be done, what is needed to be done, and what you are actually doing. It is not easy to be, it is not just enough to be busy. Sometimes we say we are busy, we don't have time for that. See, it is not important, not enough to be busy, because even ants are busy, bees are busy, busy as a bee, busy as an ant. The question is, what are you busy about? Start by doing what is necessary, and then start doing what you think is impossible. So if you start the thing which you thought impossible, then suddenly you will find that you are doing what you thought was impossible in the beginning. Okay, that comes out of focusing, out of clarity. So next is obstacles, distraction. Okay, the daily calendar is your friend. So in the morning, do you see the calendar, what you have planned in your calendar? Okay, plan ahead and be clear about what you need to do now. Don't get distracted from your plans or your objectives, because in today's world, it's a fast-paced world and it's very easy to get distracted. We often think so much to do and so little time. Okay, so we plan on doing something, but we land up doing something else. So are you a daydreamer? Do you daydream sometimes? Perhaps you find yourself somewhere else entirely when you should be concentrating on the task in front of you. We all have those days. I know we all experience that. And sometimes we stare out of the window somewhere. We call it Alice in the Rabbit Hole moment. Now you have, as a child, you must have read Lewis Carroll's, the children's classic, Alice in Wonderland. Okay, and the Alice in Wonderland, Alice is a little girl who gets lost. She's always lost in daydreaming. The mother goes
Yeah.
looking for her and she is busy daydreaming. It's a wonderful children's classic. That we also have those moments with us, okay? But we must try to break down our day into efficient working periods with little breaks that will boost our brain power. Okay. So next we go to personal disorganization. Time is a created thing. Okay, when we say we don't have time, we have to create time. When you say I don't have time, it means that you don't want to do it. Okay, well, I'm not saying that, rather this Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, have you heard of Lao Tzu? He said, if you say that I don't have time, that means you don't want to do it. You will never find time for anything. If you want time, you must make time. Nobody is too busy. It is only a matter of priorities. If you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. A lazy person will not do it anyway. Okay. The more things you do, the more you can do better. So realize that if you have the time to whine and complain about things, that means you have the time to do something about it. So one can find time for everything if you are never in a hurry. Okay. If a person is hurrying all the time, that kind of person also can never have time. And then next is unclear objectives. Plan out your ultimate outcome and understand your objectives. Speeding towards the finish line with no plans in sight isn't a good idea. You can quickly lose track, and then you are going somewhere else to run yourself entirely off course. Okay, you want to go this way, but you are going somewhere other side. So this is a completely different angle. So if you rush your task or activities, you may sometimes find that the results are not quite what you desired or what you had expected. Then it is time to take a step back, breathe, okay, rethink and replan. Okay, going to the next slide. Uh, I'll go to procrastination. Sorry. Procrastination means what? Procrastination means keeping something off till a later date. Sometimes we say, oh no, now I'm not feeling like doing it. Oh, we'll do it later. Chalo, ek din late hoga to kya hoga? Okay. So that is called procrastination. Never leave till tomorrow that which you can do today, said Benjamin Franklin. We all know procrastination isn't a great thing if you want to be productive. It never stops us from doing it anyway. So though we think that, okay, this is a bad thing, we should not, do, but sometimes we become so lazy that we can't help it and we keep it for a later date. We fill our precious time with unnecessary breaks while time slips away. And this is often rushing to catch up later. If you leave something for later time, then later on you have to hurry up the other things and try to complete it. Deadline comes, okay? There's a lot of problem and resulting in jeopardized time. The first step to avoid procrastination is knowing how much time you spend avoiding work. Okay, you may try out using a time track software for at least say 7 days, 1 week, and manage and to see how you are spending your time. There is a software for time tracking. So you can try it out and experiment on yourself. Chances are you will realize that you have to change your lifestyle if you want to be more productive. Okay. Then comes stress or fatigue. Okay. Stress, we are all stressed out in this high-spun world. Sometimes thinking of the future, you may become scared since future comes too soon. Okay, we find the time is passing so soon. We're thinking of future, we're planning to future, and that future is already here. So many a times we find ourselves busy with the next project and thinking only of what will happen at tomorrow's meeting. Okay, or perhaps still we are reliving the last one. So either way, we are stressed out, fatigued. Fatigue means we are tired or tired of all the stress and anxiety. We must realize that we cannot change the past, but our present timely action only can influence the future. So what matters is what you are doing this very second. Employing mindfulness technique, all those meditation kind of things, mindfulness techniques along with time management can get you back on track and focus on what really matters. Now, next is the ability to say no. Okay, see, we are all good human beings, and so it doesn't really mean that you always have to say yes to others' request. Sometimes you need to complete your targets also. Okay, sometimes we should learn to deny certain requests. We cannot please everyone all the time. Sometimes, by being nice and complying, you find that certain people are trying to take advantage of your good nature. I don't mean that you don't have to help others, but that person, if that person genuinely requires your help, then you should definitely help him. But that should not turn into a habit. Okay, in the process, you may be spoiling that person by pampering him or her too much. So learn when to say no. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Lack of planning. See, the problem is sometimes things are not gets done because you are not planning them properly. Okay. The first hour of the morning is the rudder of your day. Rudder, you understand? Rudder is the control surface of a ship, how the ship is steered. Okay, that is the rudder. It sets the direction. It sets the direction. It changes the direction. You use the rudder. Okay, a day should always begin with proper planning. It is said, if you talk about it, it is a dream. If you envision it, it is possible. But if you schedule it properly, only then it can become real. Scheduling, I mean proper planning. So then it will become real. So don't be afraid of going slow. Okay, you should be afraid only of standing still. So we know the story of the hare and the tortoise. Sometimes slow and steady may also win the race. But you have to move along. Even if it is slowly, you have to move along. If you just stand still, you cannot win the race. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. Before you begin a task, it is vital that you know how much time the task will need to complete it and how many people you will need. And that is how you plan. Sometimes your projects fail or we are not able to meet a deadline. It is because we fail to plan and not because we plan to fail. Do we plan to fail? No, never. Okay, now number 8 is involved in too many things. Okay, the shorter way to do many things is to do only one thing at a time. Okay, the key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities. The trouble is, you think that you have the time. Sometimes we think that we are superhumans and we can do many things at the same time. Probably you will, and ultimately you will also finish doing all you had taken up. But you may not be able to get things done on time. And so instead of gaining, you end up losing your reputation. You cannot keep your time, your quality of your work, suffers. So take only as much things you can in your hand that you can handle. Don't be too ambitious and don't try to please everybody. You can never please everybody. Okay. And finally, we come to personal and professional commitments. Commitments made to members of your family or your loved ones are as important as commitment made to in your professional life. So we make commitment to our bosses, we make commitment to our senior members at the office. Okay. Suppose it is your wedding anniversary and you were so much engrossed in your professional life that you completely forgotten when the big day arrives. Or maybe you remember and you make a promise to your spouse that you will go out for dinner. And for some reason, you cannot keep up your commitment. Then what happens? You know what to expect. Less said, the better, right? Okay. Now coming to this steps to effective time management. So these are the steps. If you follow these steps, then you can be a good time manager. You can manage your time well. So what are these? First of all, long-term vision. See, we have short-term vision and we have long-term vision. For example, you want to build a house. It will not happen in a single day. So this is a long-term vision. For this long-term vision, you have to cut it down by the short-term visions. Only then this will be possible. Prioritization. What is prioritization? Which is most important at this moment? That is your priority. Okay. Then comes scheduling. Scheduling, I have said that you have to plan, and you plan in such a way that you can fulfill every step in the proper way that you have planned. Then delegating. Delegation is always important because it is not humanly possible to do everything that you want to do. Okay, supposing in our district governor is the GAT chairperson in the district. So GAT includes all GLT, GMT, GST, right? So he has appointed us as me as a GLT chairperson coordinator, then Radhaji as the GMT coordinator, and Pankajji as GST coordinator. That means he is delegating his work. He is delegating entire work amongst the members so that the things can be done easily. District governor alone cannot do everything. So he has to depend on people, and people who he can depend on. That is why he has very carefully selected each person, isn't it, Ringania ji? Okay. So even me as a GLT chairperson, I have delegated certain topics to different persons. For example, for this particular YLLI, I am depending on Dr. Himabrata Chakraborty. He is the course coordinator. So he is helping me out to organize all this. So we do need to delegate if you want to do something well, right? Then number 5 is improve your concentration. Improve concentration is nothing but staying focused. I have mentioned how you should stay focused. Once you have to make the plan, you should focus on it and go straight towards it without any distraction. Okay. Then being well organized. You have to be a well organized person. Like I said, starting from getting up in the morning and setting the day's schedules. So you have to organize your life in such a way that you can keep your commitments. You can meet your targets. Avoid procrastination. As I said, this is, lazy people, sometimes we get lazy. We don't want to do something. We wait for Sundays to come. Yes, I definitely have Sundays. I wait for the Sundays to come because, only on that day, it is my day. So I can spend it my way. And sometimes when the Monday and Tuesdays are lazy days, okay, when is the Thursday? Okay, you are still, because you are working, you have full energy. Again, towards the end, Friday and Saturday, you get tired and we try to, leave things for next week. So this is called procrastination. avoid procrastination if you want to be a hardcore professional. Then reduce interruptions. Interruptions you cannot help. It will come from somewhere all the time. You are moving in a certain direction, you are focused, but then something or the other will try to interrupt you. So you cannot avoid it totally, but you can reduce it. If you planned properly, you can reduce the interruptions. Then comes efficient meetings. Efficient meetings, what to say about efficient meeting? You have seen in even Lions meetings, sometimes in your agenda, you try to make a detailed agenda, giving so much time. Okay, the welcome speech will be of so many minutes, then the president will speak for this minute. So you make your agenda so well, giving time to specific person, so that your meetings become very efficient. It will start in time, end in time. And see how recently we had that online multiple convention. See, online multiple convention, there were so many delegates from even the international level. And they came, they started on time. There were so many seminars going on at the same time. There were hall 1, there were hall 2, there were hall 3. Meetings were going on everywhere. But how was it so successfully managed? It was because that, it was so well planned. And that is why, what is happening there? So much of distraction. Palash Bhomik, please keep your videos properly. Palash Bhomik. Palash Bhomik.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, your video should be, focusing on your face and not on your other places. Please be careful. See, many people are watching this program. Okay, so see, is that Palash Bhomik or is somebody else? Somebody is sleeping. Okay, you have to be very careful. Your audio is on, video is on, and showing your legs and you lying down. I don't know what's happening.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Okay, so where was I? Yes, efficient meetings. And then now, effective communication. Effective communication. That is, yes, our previous speaker, Amita Jena, you said about effective communication. She spoke so well about effective communication. And I have a very interesting story, but I'm being distracted by this Palash Bhomik's video all the time. You could please mute. Can the host do something about it?
Mr. Palash Bhomik.
Can the host do something about Palash Bhomik's video?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
There is your video, Mr. Palash Bhomik. Yeah.
Palash Bhomik. Can the host? Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. See, if you're not interested, you need not be here. Okay. I only want the interested persons to be present in this because this is an institute. Okay. This is not just a seminar, not just a meeting. You are going to get certificates when you complete this. So you have to be very serious about it. Okay.
Switched off his video.
So if you don't want, yes, now I can see. But thing is, you have to be very, professional here, like a student. Okay, now effective.
I'm extremely sorry.
Yeah, it's all right, but you must be careful, okay? Because so many people are watching. Anyway.
Sorry, ma'am.
So what I mean by effective communication, let me tell you a little story, okay? This grand frontier railway lines were constructed. And then we had to, supposing construction should go from Guwahati to Dibrugarh. Okay, somebody has been given this contract from Dibrugarh to Guwahati. From that side, the construction started from Guwahati to Dibrugarh. Also, there's another group started the construction. And because of their lack of communication, what happened? Rail lines did not meet where they were supposed to meet. Okay. So one line got that way, another line came this way, and they could not meet. And this is because of lack of communication. We should not have that kind of communication if we want to be effective in our time management. So what will happen if communication is wrong? Again, you have to do it all over again. It is wastage of time. So your communication should be effective if you want to manage your time well. Okay. Then number 11 is avoid perfectionism. Some people are, perfectionists. They will not be satisfied till the thing is perfectly done. Okay. But let me tell you, it is not so important to become that perfectionist. Sometimes it works, but if it takes too much of time to be perfect, then what will happen? Your time will pass. Okay. I tell my students, my students of English, when they get the question paper, they have to divide their time, and there are many unseen questions. Okay. And many people take time how to write because they have to create a story, they have to create letter writing. So I tell them, you don't need to be perfect. Okay. Just follow the steps, what is important, and then try to finish the question paper. Otherwise, many of your questions will not be finished. You will not have time to complete all the answers. So that is why avoid perfectionism. Do the thing the best you can, but if it is taking too long to be perfect, don't have to be perfect all the time. Then lastly, number 12 is be assertive. What is the meaning of being assertive? Having or showing confidence. Okay. If you have a forceful personality, then you can get things done speedily. Okay. Because this is time management. You have to be positively aggressive. You have to be aggressive, but aggressive is positively aggressive. Okay, now I come to the last slide in my this presentation. What does it say? Money I can gain or lose, but time I can only lose. Okay, so I must spend it carefully. Jack Canfield said that. It is very true. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money by working hard, giving extra time. You can get more money. But if you cannot get more time. See, today I am giving 3 hours of my life to this session, second YLLI session. Will I get back that 3 hours of my life? Okay. So see how important it is. If I had money, if you want 3,000 rupees, I could have given 3,000 rupees. What is there? But I am giving you 3 hours of my precious life. So don't play with your time. Don't waste your time. This is the most fundamental lesson that we need to learn. Time is a precious resource. Once it is spent, it is gone for good. Money can buy resources to increase your personal life. The bottom line is that you need to manage time efficiently, and learning how to do it holds the key to both happiness and success. I wish all of you a very happy and successful life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mandiraji. Thank you very much for this wonderful rendition of the effectiveness of time management. And I would say all would agree that these minutes were the best utilization of time. Thank you once again for your our presentation on time management. Now I would request our well-known Lion Arindam Bhattacharjee, a cabinet secretary, to present his presentation on dispute management. Over to you, Arindam.
1 minute. I
Excuse
think I have
Cabinet
not, 1 minute.
Excuse me,
I think
Mandiraji.
I have not stopped sharing. I think come in too soon.
I've
Just
stopped it, ma'am. I've already stopped it.
You stopped it? Okay, thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
So over to you,
Mandiraji, can I
Arindam.
speak a minute?
Yes, sure, Amitaji.
Mandiraji, can I leave now because I've got some little important work?
Okay, sure, Amitaji. Yes, you can
Okay.
leave. And thank you so much, Amitaji, for that wonderful presentation. We will
Thank
need
you.
you in
Thank
our
you
district
all.
again. We will keep inviting you. Please do keep coming and encouraging us. Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time.
Amitaji. Thank you,
Thank you very much, Amitaji. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you once
all.
again.
Thank you very much, Amitaji, for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Happy learning to all of you. Thank you, Himandu.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Arindamda, it's over to you. Arindamda, you are not audible.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, am I audible? Hello, audible?
Yes, you are audible, but not very loud. Okay.
Sound is low, Arindamda.
Volume is very low, sir.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Still very low.
Volume is low. I don't know why. Volume is low.
Okay, let me allow me to share my screen.
Arindamda, you are not audible. Sound is very low.
Hello, hello. I'm speaking loudly, but it's still.
Something is technical problem, I think, Himabrita. I
Yes,
think
yes.
that is a technical problem. Can he try something else without the speaker?
Arindamda, there is problem with your mic headphone.
Headphone problem.
You can directly use the microphone of your system, either the laptop or the mobile. I think that will be better.
Direct, yes.
Headphone
Yeah,
को disconnect कर दीजिए Arindamda. Disconnect your headphone. Speak directly.
Try speaking.
Audible? Hello.
The sound is there, but still very low. Is the sound volume is lowered in your system?
Volume.
I don't know. They use my mobile and I'm using my laptop. But in that case, I will not be able to share my screen.
Okay.
I can use my mobile.
Yes, you can. Arindamda, you can.
Somebody else, I don't know if you share my screen.
Himabrita, can you play his screen?
Sure,
Can you
I'll share your screen. Okay. Okay, Arindamda, I'm sharing your topic.
I'm entering from my mobile.
Okay. Himabrita, try sharing the screen.
Yes, I will share the screen. I'm starting.
But it is upside down, sideways.
I'll do it just now.
Excuse me, ma'am, can I have my video on?
You can switch it on, but we must see your face, okay? Palash Bhomik, you can switch your video on, but we want to see your face, okay? And actually, I should ask everybody to switch on their video so that we can see you.
Ma'am, I cannot, I can't make it on because it has been disabled by the host.
Hello.
Yes, now
Hello.
we can hear you. Arindamda, we can hear you.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, fine.
Arindamda, should I share?
Okay, Lion Himabrita, please share the screen.
Oh, okay, I'll share the screen.
Dipankar Roy, Meenakshi Gose. Dipankar Roy, can you switch your video on? Dipankar Roy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, my video has been disabled by the host.
Rishabh, please see that.
Yes.
Dispute management, we can
yes.
see, but
Yes.
can you make it full screen, Himabrata?
Is the screen visible, Arindamda?
Yes. Yes, visible.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Not visible, Himabrata. Lan Himabrata, it is not visible now.
Arindamda?
Yes.
Not visible.
Arindamda?
Ah,
Why the screen being disconnected by the host again and again? Rishabh?
Hello, Rishabh, where are you? Rishabh?
Yes.
Yes,
Rishabh.
now we can see. It's gone.
It is visible now?
Yes,
yes.
it is visible now.
Okay. Go ahead, Dada.
Okay. Okay, dear friends. Sorry for this technical glitches. My topic is dispute management. You know what is dispute? On TV, newspaper, every day, we see news of war, violence, crime, social unrest, divorce. All these are examples of dispute. Dispute is simply disagreement between two or more people. And dispute management is the opportunity to improve the situation and strengthen the relationship. Is dispute inevitable? In my opinion, yes, it is. It is inevitable because the people are different. The people have different taste, different need, different religion, different culture. So the dispute is inevitable. But we must learn to manage it so that we can improve our relationship. Next. Lan Himabrata, next.
I have given the next, Dada.
Okay. Why dispute arises? Dispute arises from a number of different sources, such as clash of values and ideas. You know, the values of a congressman and a communist will differ. Conflict of needs. Needs of the person are different. While the husband, wife, children, the wife may not. While someone may want to move away from the family for job opportunities, while somebody may stay back with the family. Perception due to different culture, different social custom, religion. For all these differences, dispute arises. But the problem is that when values, ideas, conflict, needs, culture, social custom, religion are in dispute, neither is necessarily right or wrong. Each person may believe their position is correct one. Next. Dispute also arises because of competition for occupying position of maybe district governor. Dispute also arises for financial consideration. Employer thinks that he is giving more, while the employee thinks that he's getting less. Struggle for power. You all know most of the disputes of the world arises because of the struggle for power. And lastly, personality clash. You know what is personality clash? एक जंगल में दो शेर नहीं रहते. This is because of personality clash. This is why the dispute arises. How dispute affects an organization? Yes, organization affected many ways because of dispute. Members leave organization. It promotes violence. As a result, work hampers. Dispute. Next. Next slide. Dispute. Because of dispute, we see legal cases. Millions of legal cases all over the world. Because of this dispute, mental health of the people are affected. We see many people went to depression because of dispute. And because of this dispute, our time and energy is diverted from the main issue. Even in Lions Clubs, while our main issue is to give service to the people, is to increase fellowship, is to increase membership, but because of disputes, many a times we have seen that our time and energy is wasted in other issues, not in the main issues. The steps for dispute management. Getting hard into the dispute. To understand the dispute. For dispute management, we must go deep into the dispute. We have to discuss thoroughly what needs are not met by both the parties. And if we can really discuss these issues, we can really get into the deep, into the heart of the dispute. The people in the dispute, the parties in the dispute will understand the issue. No relationship is all sunshine, but two people can share one umbrella and survive the storm together, as the saying goes. Next slide, please. So for dispute resolution, establish a common goal for both parties. Say in Lions Club, one wants meeting to be held at 7 o'clock in the evening. Other person wants the meeting to be held at 7:30 in the evening. But the common goal is that the meeting is to be held and the important resolution is to be passed. We have to identify the common goals. If we can identify the common goal, that the meeting is required to be held and the important decision is to be passed, then the other point of dispute, whether the meeting should be held on a Saturday or Sunday, whether the meeting should be held at 7 o'clock or 7:30 o'clock, this dispute we can avoid. Find a commonality of both sides as the starting point. For resolving this dispute, we can start from the common point. What is the common point? Common point is that the meeting is to be held and the important decision is to be taken. Discuss ways to meet the common goal. There are many ways to solve a problem. There are many ways to manage a dispute. We have to brainstorm the different approaches to meet the goal. One of the very important one of the very important way is to say sorry, because most of the problems arises because of our ego. And once you say sorry, it satisfies your ego. The other moods are, other ways to meet the common goal are solve, brainstorm the different solutions available to select the best solution, and then select the best one. Accommodate, another way is accommodate, to resolve the conflict by passively giving away to the other party. Another way is compromise, to resolve the conflict through assertive give and take concessions. Avoid, to passively ignore the conflict. Many a times we are unable to resolve the conflict. Then in that case, the way out is to avoid, to passively ignore the conflict rather than resolve it. And also there is another way is to dominate. Sometimes we have to dominate to resolve the conflict by using aggressive behavior. Sometimes we have to apply this, you come or not, the meeting will be held at 7 o'clock. Somebody has to take this aggressive. Many times this situation arises, somebody has to take strong decision. Determine the barriers of the common goal. We have to determine what are the barriers to the common goal. Here I want to tell you a small story. Small story of Devasur. Devasurs were fighting for millions of years that we have found in our mythology. Demon and demigods, they were fighting. So the story is that once God told Devatas and Asuras to assemble in a hall. Not in one hall, all Devatas, and in another hall, all Asuras to assemble. They have assembled. And then the God has declared that I shall give you Amrita. In both the halls, I shall give you Amrita. You have to take it without folding your hands. The condition is that you cannot fold your hands. Your hands must be straight. And if you fold your hands, the Amrita will not work. He has put some bowls of Amrita in both the halls, in Devata's hall and the Asura's hall. And then he asked Naradji to visit both the halls. Naradji first visited Demon's hall, and he saw it was a complete pandemonium, a complete chaos. These demons are fighting amongst one another because they cannot fold their hand, they cannot eat Amrita. So they are fighting, quarreling, and nobody is able to take Amrita. Then Naradji visited Devata's hall, and to his surprise, he found that it was a complete peaceful environment, calm and cool environment. How is this? The one Devata is feeding another. Hand is straight. They have not folded their hand, but everybody is taking Amrita. One Devata is feeding another. So this story I told you to determine the barriers of the common goal, define what can and cannot be changed about the situation, and for the items cannot be changed, discuss the ways to remove the roadblocks. Next. Agree on the best way to resolve the conflict. Determine a solution that both sides can live with. The solution which both sides are happy. The solution which both feels that win-win for them. Win-win situation is the best solution. Discuss the responsibility of each party in maintaining the solution. Once you reach to a solution, discuss, take assurance from the parties that they will maintain the solution. The solution may be like that. Now I am giving you 50,000. You will give me after 2 years with interest. So you have to maintain, see that the other party gives the money back after 2 years with interest. settle on a means of ensuring that the dispute does not arise again. The goal of resolving conflict in a relationship is not victory or defeat. It is reaching understanding and letting go of our need to be right. Please remember some important points for dispute management. Build good relationship before conflict occurs. If you can build a good relationship, the chance of occurring dispute is minimum. So build relationship before it occurs. Do not let small problem escalate. Dispute beginning is small. Beginning is very small. But if you do not deal with it as and when it arises, it becomes big, and it becomes unmanageable. So do not let small problem escalate. Deal them as and when they arise. Respect differences. Respect your differences with other people. It is not necessary that that the other person is wrong, you are right. There are different views of to a situation. The other person may be also right. He is looking the matter differently. So respect the difference. Listen to the other's perspective on the conflict situation. Acknowledge feeling before focusing on the fact. Focus on solving the problem, not changing people. You cannot change people. You take it for granted, you cannot change people. So focus on solving problem, not changing people. If you cannot solve the problem, turn to someone else who can help. Remember to adapt your style to the situation. Change yourself with the situation. Adapt to the situation. Remember to adapt your style to the situation and person involved. And you have to change according to the person involved in the dispute. And use all your skills, verbal, non-verbal, listening, feedback, use all your skill to solve the problem, to solve the dispute. Next, Timo. And with this a quote of Albert Einstein, in the middle of difficulty lies the opportunity. Definitely in the middle of this difficulty of pandemic, the crisis the world has ever seen. In this crisis period, in this pandemic period, we are organizing regularly seminar, institute, symposium. This definitely it is an opportunity. So thank you very much for giving me this patient hearing. Thank you. Thank you, Lion Himobrata. Thank you, Mandiradi. Thank you, BDG 1, Shubhankar Sen, BDG 2, Rathore. Thank you, everybody, for encouraging me and listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Arindamda. Thank you very much for your presentation. Now, before the vote of thanks, I would request our Mandiradi to sum up the second session of this YLLI training. Over to you, Lion Mandiradi.
Thank you, Himabrata. Today's session undoubtedly was a wonderful session. And I'm happy that till the end of this program, we have 8 participants still there. And I hope everybody was listening carefully. Even if not for certificates, there are so many things to learn from every session. So I hope that you have taken some important tips so that you can apply in your everyday life, in your everywhere. So this is not typically a thing about concerns only Lionism. It is, it is your self-improvement. You can use these techniques for self-improvement. And that is why, we hope that everybody would listen carefully, if not for the certificates, but at least to learn some of the life skills that they can use in the day-to-day life. And Amita Jaina was, of course, wonderful. And she had personal interaction also. And then I saw that during my session also, the people were listening attentively and giving comments. Yes, I read each and every comments. and I liked your comments. Thank you. That shows that you were paying attention. And finally, Arindam Das, conflict management. That is, in life is full of conflicts. There are by family, lionism, though you have seen there's conflicts every day. But there are ways that we can resolve these conflicts also. And because, life is so variety, our international president also says, they're united in diversity and kindness, right? So we are all diverse people, and we should be able to live together, very tolerant with a liberal outlook to everyone else. We should go ahead together. Okay, now over to Himabrata. You can propose the vote of thanks. It's quite late also. Over to Himabrata.
Thank you, Mandiradi. It's been a wonderful second session of YLLI in our district 322G. As customary, I would propose the vote of thanks. And at the outset, all thanks goes to our district governor, Rajkumar Jirania, for having given all the support to the GLT team to be able to organize this and to cater to the need of leadership training to our young lions and aspiring lions. Heartfelt thanks to our district governor. A very sincere thanks goes to our guest faculty and GLT resource person, Lion Amita Jaina ji, who was very forthcoming in to be part of our training. And as soon as we requested her, she was very much happy to be a part of us. In absence, of course, she has left for some certain urgent work, but then our gratitude and thanks goes to her. A very sincere thanks to our VDG1 Lion Shubhankar Sen ji and VDG2 Lion PS Rathore ji for being there all along and encouraging the new lions, because their presence, the DG team's presence, tells the rest of the lion member how important it is and how important it is to be there in this training. Thank you, VDG1 and VDG2, from the core of our heart, from the GLT team. And of course, who can forget the very fulcrum of this program, our GLT coordinator, Lion Mandira Chanda, PMCC, and the force behind this program. Well, she has been instrumental for many years, and she has never said no to anything that relates to learning. Thank you, Mandiradi. Thank you once again for encouraging all of us. Thanks to Lion Arindam Bhattacharya, Cabinet Secretary, and faculty for today's session, one of the faculties for today's session. He has been very kind in agreeing to be a faculty and for presenting in a very
Cabinet Treasurer.
how we to
Cabinet Treasurer.
make or change the dispute into opportunity. But the most important thing is to thank all our participants who have given their time, a well use of your time for learning and commitment to Lionism, that you are here being with us, not only for the certificate as Mandiradi has put it, but for the various life skills and for that one passion in you that you want to be lion leaders or lions who want to serve the society. Thank you very much, all participants. And not the least, I would thank all those who have worked, Lion Rishabh Loha, our Cabinet Secretary, Lion Arun Agarwal ji, all those who have worked behind the scene but has made this program possible by all their support, and everyone who have wished good for this program. So a very sincere and humble thanks to all of you. So with those words, I would assure that in the third and final session, which will be in the month of November, maybe on the 8th of November, which is a Sunday, we will again meet, and I'm sure that we will have a wonderful time in the third session of learning. Mandiradi, so with those words, I will hand it over to you to call this session close. Over to you, Mandiraji.
And thank you also, Himabrata, for doing all the groundwork for this YLLI. You have conducted it very well. You have given support, great support to Arindamda today. So thank you to Himabrata Chakraborty also, who is the course coordinator for this session. And vote of thanks is already over. So I think we can wind this up. Thank you so much, everybody.